The movie starts with Colt Seavers, a stuntman, discussing the significance of individuals in his industry throughout entertainment history. Despite enduring numerous hits in his line of work, Colt considers it worthwhile due to his affection for Jody Moreno, a camera operator aspiring to transition into directing. Colt's current project involves performing stunts alongside well-known actor Tom Ryder. While preparing for a challenging stunt involving a significant fall, an unforeseen mishap leads to Colt sustaining a severe injury to his back. As a result, he decides to step away from the industry, distancing himself from both his career and his relationship with Jody. After 18 months, Colt works as a valet driver and has maintained no contact with Jody following the accident. Encountering a former colleague who refers to him as the Fall Guy, Colt reacts by aggressively retrieving his car and performing reckless maneuvers in front of him. Subsequently, Colt is approached by Gail Meyer, a producer closely associated with Ryder, who offers him the opportunity to serve as Ryder's stunt double in an upcoming sci-fi film named Metal Storm. Initially hesitant, Colt declines the offer until Gail reveals that Jody is directing the project. Upon arriving on set, Colt reconnects with his friend Dan Tucker, the stunt coordinator, who informs him that his first significant stunt post-injury involves executing a cannon roll, much to Colt's apprehension as he worries about impressing Jody with his performance. During the cannon roll stunt, Colt's car flips across the beach before he signals his well-being with a thumbs up, a common gesture among stuntmen, according to him. When Jody discovers Colt as the stuntman, she doesn't seem pleased after his prolonged absence, contradicting Gail's earlier assertion that Jody specifically requested him. In his next stunt, Colt is set on fire and propelled into a wall. Following this, Colt and Jody attempt to analyze the scene while discreetly discussing their relationship in front of the crew, with most people seemingly supporting Jody's perspective. Gail visits Colt in his trailer to inform him that Ryder has disappeared after getting involved with dubious individuals, tasking Colt with locating him to save Jody's film production within the next 48 hours. Reflecting on his time with Jody, Colt sits in his car listening to music, shedding a few tears before Jody unexpectedly arrives, prompting him to maintain composure. She joins him in the car and stresses the significance of the film to her, to which Colt vows not to jeopardize the production for her sake. Heading to Ryder's apartment in search of him, Colt encounters Ziggy Starr, Ryder's girlfriend and the lead actress in Metal Storm, who attacks him. After a brief scuffle, Colt discovers Iggy wielding a prop sword and clarifies his mission to find Ryder for the sake of the film. Iggy directs him to a nightclub frequented by Ryder and advises him to seek out Ryder's drug dealer there. Colt gains entry to the club by dressing in a flashy manner and encounters the drug dealer, Dune. When Colt inquires about Ryder, Dune responds by offering Colt a drugged beverage and attempts to handle him with his associates. Colt begins to experience hallucinations but successfully defeats 3 thugs before pursuing Dune outside as he tries to hail a cab. Colt jumps in front of the cab, preventing Dune from escaping. Dune reveals that he was paid to drug Colt and directs him to a hotel to find an individual named Kevin and request a fruit platter. Colt also experiences an imaginary sighting of a unicorn during this encounter. At the hotel, Colt crosses paths with Jody, who expresses her frustration about the studio interfering with the romantic storyline of her film. Subsequently, Colt meets the concierge, Kevin, who provides him with a fruit platter, which actually serves as the key to Ryder's hotel room. After struggling to unlock the door using the key, Colt resorts to breaking down the door to gain entry. Meanwhile, Jody calls Colt to discuss some creative ideas for the film in a lighthearted conversation. Inside Ryder's room, Colt discovers the body of another stuntman, Henry Herrera. Colt contacts Gail for advice, who warns him against engaging with the authorities. However, Colt decides to speak to the police when he is approached by an officer due to his illegal parking. During the conversation, Colt mentions the discovery of the body in the ice-filled bathtub. They return to Ryder's room, only to find the tub mysteriously empty, while Colt receives a parking ticket. During the subsequent day of filming, Dan notices that Jody seems influenced by her interaction with Colt, resulting in her introducing more elaborate and complex concepts for the shoot. To facilitate the production process, Colt steps in for Ryder, allowing the use of deep fake technology to incorporate Ryder's likeness into the final footage. Jody later asks Colt to join her for karaoke, and he agrees. While on his way to the karaoke bar, Colt encounters Alma Martin, Tom's assistant, accompanied by a trained dog named Jean-Claude, whom he has collaborated with before. When Colt inquires about Ryder, Alma informs him that she last saw Ryder and Henry at a wild party before Gail summoned her away from the event. Alma ended up with Ryder's phone because Dressler, his head of security, was pressuring her to hand it over. She believes there is incriminating evidence on the phone and is willing to surrender it, but she requests to be given producer credit on Metal Storm. Colt promises to look into it before they are interrupted by Dressler, who kidnaps Alma in his vehicle. Colt harnesses Jean-Claude's help and commandeers a truck to pursue them, leaving Jody waiting at the karaoke bar, disappointed by his absence. While Jody performs against all odds, Colt confronts the thugs with Jean-Claude after infiltrating their van. Jean-Claude incapacitates the thugs by biting them before assisting Alma in incapacitating the driver. They manage to stop the vehicle, and although Colt crashes through the windshield, he emerges unscathed. He swiftly dashes with the dog to the karaoke bar, only to find Dan there informing him that Jody has already left. Colt and Dan hand over Ryder's phone to their colleague Venti for hacking purposes, but she requires his password. The two of them visit Ryder's apartment and sift through his numerous post-it note reminders until they eventually discover the password written clearly. Once Venti successfully unlocks the phone, Colt and Dan come across a video featuring Ryder, Iggy, and some friends, including Henry, who makes a joking remark about Ryder not performing his own stunts. In the video, Ryder attempts a stunt but accidentally causes Henry's death. Shortly after, Venti calls Dan to share the news that Henry's demise is being reported, with Colt being implicated as the main suspect. Dressler and his henchmen then arrive and start shooting at Colt and Dan, prompting them to react swiftly. In the chaos, Dressler shoots and destroys Ryder's phone that was in Colt's possession. After a scuffle with the henchmen, Colt manages to escape outside and boards Ryder's boat, crashing through the roof in the process. Inside the boat, he comes face to face with Ryder before being knocked unconscious. When Colt regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up, with Ryder demanding the return of his phone. Ryder confesses to killing Henry and framing Colt to take the blame for the crime, revealing that Gail orchestrated the entire cover-up after Ryder confided in her. Ryder also acknowledges that he orchestrated Colt's accident out of jealousy, feeling that Colt was overshadowing him. Meanwhile, Gail meets with Jody to disclose that Colt is suspected of Henry's murder. After Colt reveals that Dressler wrecked the phone, Ryder orders his henchmen to soak Colt with kerosene to set him on fire, but Colt accidentally gets some in his mouth and spits it at Dressler when he attempts to light him up. Colt jumps onto a boat and tries to escape by steering in reverse. He attempts to reach out to Jody, but Gail purposely gets her phone wet before Jody can answer his call. Eventually, Colt successfully contacts Jody and tries to clarify the situation, but the villains pursue him, causing his boat to crash and explode. Despite the explosion, Colt manages to leap to safety. Colt is presumed dead, and his demise is labeled as a suicide, while the villains utilize deepfake technology to superimpose Colt's face onto Ryder's body in the video depicting Ryder committing the murder. Colt finds Dan and enlists his help to sneak back onto the film set in disguise as an alien character. Jody mistakes Colt for an intruder and initially attacks him until Colt reveals his identity. Before Colt can explain further, Jody surprises him with a kiss, only for the moment to be disrupted by Gail's sudden appearance. Jody conceals Colt and overhears Gail discussing Colt's alleged passing, as well as attempting to execute Jody's significant car jump stunt for the movie using visual effects, while emphasizing Ryder's climactic final speech. Once Gail departs, Colt and Jody devise a plan to pressure Ryder into confessing to the murder by convincing him to perform the car jump stunt himself while wearing a microphone. Ryder often forgets he is being recorded, allowing him to unknowingly reveal incriminating information. The crew prepares for the crucial scene and proceeds to film Ryder's monologue. Jody convinces Ryder to get into the car under the pretense of needing a close-up shot. Colt emerges and drives off in the car, prompting Dressler and his cronies to pursue them. Jody and Dan assist in fending off the goons long enough for Colt to make Ryder confess to Henry's murder and reveal that Gail orchestrated the setup. Colt then executes a daring jump across a canyon, causing Ryder to lose consciousness. Gail arranges for a helicopter to extract her and Ryder after stealing the confession tape. With Jody's help, Colt is hurled towards the helicopter, engaging in a physical altercation with both Gail and Ryder until he retrieves the tape and safely lands on a crash mat set up by the crew at the perfect moment. Colt and Jody celebrate their triumph with a kiss. Metal Storm is later released in theaters with Jason Momoa taking over as the lead actor, replacing Ryder. The film becomes a huge success, and Alma receives recognition as a producer. Colt remarks that while the film's heroes find happiness, he and Jody also find theirs. During the credits, the film showcases the stunts featured in the movie. The scene concludes with the police arriving to arrest Ryder and Gail after their helicopter crashes. They are met by the lead cops, who are the former stars of the original Fall Guy TV show. Ryder attempts to flee onto the set to seek help, inadvertently triggering the pyrotechnics and causing his demise in an explosion, prompting Alma to contact Momoa's agent. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks and see you again soon. Take care.